For your cloth study assignment, you guys are going to be downloading the zip file that is attached to this activity. And in that zip file, you're going to find a banner texture. This is what we're going to be using to texture the complete banner when it's all done. You have a ZPR file, which we'll be opening and taking a look at here in a moment, and the alpha that we're going to be using to fray the bottom of our banner. So let's take a look at our ZPR. Now with ZPR files, these are opened inside a ZBrush. Let's go ahead and close our light box with comma. And to open a ZPR file, we want to go ahead and use the file up here, open. Then we'll go ahead and navigate to our file, which I've moved mine to my desktop. So cloth study ZPR and open. Now while this opens, what a ZPR file is this is like a Maya project. Okay, so think of it like it's going to have all of your texture information, your Z tools, your backgrounds. All right. So when we first open our ZPR, this is what we're going to see. Okay, so you have your battle standard here, and you have your piece of cloth that you will be sculpting on. So if we look in our subtools, you have different rings that you can pick from. So what I mean by rings is, if we zoom in here, you can select between two rings. So these are your points of tension that you'll be working from and draping your cloth from. So you could select between 2, 4, or 6, okay? So let me get my brush out of the way here. So if you guys want to try something a little more difficult, you can turn on 6 rings, right in your subtool palette, 4, and then 2. Some other things to take a look at in the scene. You also have a ground in here. This contains a lot of fiber mesh and your skulls that the battle standard will be resting in. Just make sure that that is turned off. So just click the little eyeball here. We'll keep that off. It's going to be used at the very end when we're rendering. Another thing we have in the scene, so if we go to light, background, there is a background image that is attached to this. When we're going to render, we're going to go ahead and turn this on. So you can see that replaces that plain gray background. But for now, we're going to go ahead and keep that off. I'm just kind of showing you guys around the scene so you know what you'll be working with. Now, when you go to sculpt, after you select your rings here, so let's say, for example, we're going to be sculpting with 6 rings. Turn that on. It's just like Photoshop. You just toggle these eyeballs on and off, okay? So we've got the 6 rings selected. We have our cloth. So I'm going to click on that so that we have the battle standard and the cloth is kind of boxed in a darker gray selection here. And then from there we can just go into our geometry. You know, right now we're sitting at, looks like 1,089 polygons. We'll probably want a little bit more than that to begin sculpting our large primary shapes of the cloth. So you can go in here and divide this and begin sculpting. Another thing to keep in mind, if you're not seeing my scene set up correctly, but if for some reason when you flip to the back, if you're not seeing the back of this piece of cloth, you need to go down here to, there is a display. Let's see here, display properties, there we go. And double. This should be turned on when you guys open this. If it's not, it'll look something like this when you flip into the back. This is almost like having backface culling on in our scene inside of Maya. So if our normals are facing outwards, when we flip to the back, they're invisible. So click on double here, and then we'll be able to see both sides. All right, so that is basically how you're going to be working in this scene. At this point, we just would begin sculpting. So after you guys watch this video, take a look at the cloth video that is under this one on FSO. That will show you guys a lot of really cool hints and tips to sculpting cloth. And go ahead and get right to it.